Part 2, page 28, chapter 7. Why do we have to go through all this change? When Stacy was 12 years old, she and her father, a pilot, took off on a Sunday afternoon. Joyride in their single engine Cessna, not long into the flight, and about a mile up over the Lake Michigan, the joy of their father-daughter adventure came to a abrupt halt. We got 20 more pages. So, I'll try to finish this. Abrupt halt. The engine quit. Stacy's father turned to her in a calm, restoring tone and said, "Honey, the engine is quiet. I'm going to need to fly the plane directly. Interesting phrase, fly the plane differently." Her father understood the new talent is changing conditions ought to require different strategies. Conditions change, markets change, people change. What works one day in a given situation does not necessarily work the next. In fact, as we rewrite outstanding 47 ways to make your organization acceptable, the reality is if a strategy or tactic is working now, the odds are high that it won't work in the future. There is just too much change taking place in our world for it to be any other way. So we need to develop a repertoire of responses to prepare when your engine unexpectedly quits. In order to restart the engine, they needed more airspeed. Stacy's father told her he would be hitting the switches in the cockpit while he steered the plane downwards towards the deep, cold water of Lake Michigan. I thought, as he told me this story, Stacy understood, and sensing gravity of the situation, quickly nodded her approval of her dad's plan. This did not go off the headquarters for a commit decision, a term that always strikes me as an moron. Her father put the plane into a dive and fiddled the switches. Nothing happened. He leveled off closer to the water. Stacy's were going to try again. He said, "Hang on." They dove a second time. He hit the switches again as the plane gained speed, and this time the engine fired. An engine fired. Just a few hopeful sprinters, but finally with the secure, familiar hum. About 20 minutes later, they landed safely at the point of rock, the Bartar kind of guy. This fearless father, this man of courage, turned to his 12-year-old daughter, lovingly patted her shoulder and said, "Now, honey, whatever you do, don't tell Mom." I love this story, not just for the drama and the humor, but for what it says about handling change when faced with new situation. Stacy's dad took action and solved the problem, but if he had resisted the change, instead he spent time whining and complaining, having thoughts like, "I've never done it this way before," or asking IQs such as, "Why do we have to go through all this change? Things might have turned out much differently. Are you facing change? Any engines quit in your life lately?" Ask a better question. Here's one that works. How can I adapt to the changing world? Chapter 8. Why don't they communicate better? In many workshops and facility over the years, seen played out over and over again. I'll ask, what's the biggest problem facing your organization today? Almost every time, the answer is not change of competition, but communication, which is generally framed like this: why don't they communicate better? Communication is a big problem, partly because we seem confused over what excellent communication looks like and how we get there. Effective communication is not someone else's job, nor does it begin with being understood. Rather, it's about understanding the other person. In many organizations today, people are strictly holding back conversation, experiencing high-level dilingual with other colleagues. A terrific way to get there is to ask QBQs such as, what can I do to become more effective listener, or how can I better understand others? Chapter 9. Don't ask when. When will you take care of the problem? When will the customer call me back? When will we get the information we need to make a decision? When will we tell us what's going on? When we ask, when we're really saying we have no choice but to wait and put off action until another time. Questions that being with when lead to procrastination. I don't believe most people tend to procrastinate. Certainly, no one ever gets out of bed, says, "Today I'm going to procrastinate." Even hardcore procrastinate might want to say that would put it off until tomorrow. Procrastination is a sneaky problem, but something off until later, a little later, and then a little later, and then a little later again. until before we know it, the action has been postponed so long that it's become a serious problem. Any procrastination going in your life? Most people don't hesitate to admit that procrastination is a problem for them. And if it's a problem for most people, it's a problem for most organizations. Organization. What are the consequences? Putting things off means precious time is lost, productive servers that the team may not progress towards the goal. Deadlines are missed, and hence the speed did not be outstanding. Organization just isn't there. A client once said, long-range strategic planning is a great tool, but we need to get some things done before lunch. Procrastination also increases stress as things pile up. We begin to overwhelm, which takes the joy of our work. Bottom line, procrastination is costly. All involved why we do it. I'm sure there are reasons we could explore, but frankly, I'd prefer to talk about solutions. And one solution is to stop asking eternal, focused one questions. Instead, we need to ask QBQs such as, what solution can I provide? How can I move creatively, reach my customer? What can I do to find information? What can I do to find information to make a decision? How can I excel my work right now? Please answer the question. Chapter 10. Destination. The friend of a failure. I decided to give away a very large old wooden desk topped with a piece of 1/4-inch thick clear glass about 3 feet and 5 feet. The new owner didn't want the glass when we loaded the desk into his truck early Saturday morning. We left the sheet of glass leaning against the basketball hoop pole at the edge of our driveway. As my friend drove away with the desk, he said, "You better put the glass in a safe place." Yelled back, "I will." I didn't, but I didn't. I glanced at it and told myself I'll do it later. Then I got busy. Trimming bushes and cleaning the garage. Every time I walked by the sheet of glass, I told myself that I would move it below over. I'll do it later. I kept thinking. The day I wore on and decided to go out to dinner with the family. As we passed into the driveway, my wife Karen said, "Shouldn't we put that glass someplace?" You know what I told her? A couple of hours later, we arrived home at the dusk. We were all heading into the house when a spotted pair of glass clippers sitting near the curb. I said to our son Michael, who was 9. Mike would go over there and grab those clippers, but put them in the garage for me, please. Off he went and headed into the house. It was quite Saturday evening in our pleasing neighborhood until the silence was broken by the most terrifying sound I've ever heard, the shattering of large pieces of plate glass. I realized instantly what had happened. I also knew what. I dashed out of the garage and around our car to find Michael lying on the driveway on his stomach atop hundreds of deadly shards of glass, some more than a foot long. He was crying as I ran, carrying him to the front porch. I helped him and under the light, checking his injuries, accepting the worst. I could believe what I saw on the scratch. He had run into the glass and fallen on top of it as it hit the driveway, but there wasn't a mark on him to say mark on him. So scratch, he ran into the glass, but there was no mark on him to say we feel incredibly thankful. We would have been understanding why did this incident happen. Procrastination, the friend of failure. I'm almost there, boys. The friend of failure. I knew the glass needed to be put away few minutes, but I put it off and put it off until finally it exploded into what could have been a catastrophe. I'll do it later, thinking I can costly in many ways. Let's take care of the little things while they're still little. Chapter 11. When will we get more tools and better systems? Page 40. 10 more pages. And 100 more push-ups. And more push-ups to go. Most of us, I've heard the saying, creative is thinking outside the box. There's a lot of truth in that. To be creative is this: succeeding within the box, hitting targets, reaching goals, doing the job well, making difference with what already have. The way every organization has imperfective systems, finite resources. We may wish we had never newer tools, better systems, more people, bigger budgets. But thinking too much about what we like to have is another cause of procrastination. Managers, for example, won't take their group training until all the right people are in place. Individuals won't make a decision until they all have information or taken action until all the questions are answered. Ironically, succeeding with what we have make us more likely to get things what we wanted in the first place. Listen to the wisdom of Deb Weber of State Farm Insurance. I find that every time I do the job with the tools I have, I tend to receive more tools. It's the truth. We sow, then we reap. Focusing on what we don't have is a waste of time and energy. It kills innovation to really make a difference. Let's instead focus our energy on succeeding within the box. Let's ask QBQ, how can I achieve the resources I already have? Chapter 12. When are we going to hear something new? Salespeople sometimes ask me, John, taking selling skills 101, what's next? My answer, nothing. Selling is not complicated. If salespeople consistently practice fundamentals, getting up early, contacting prospective clients, sharing their belief in their products, and servicing, following up the customers, they will be successful. Likewise, when it comes to principles on which we can base our organizations and live, such as service, integrity, and accountability, the old stuff is the good stuff. How often in our organizations have we bought in the blue program, the red program, the green program, inside of 90 days, only to have make difference because there are no quick fixes, long-term problems. We don't need the new thing or the hot topic. What we need to do is stay away from fads and practice the fundamental personal accountability. Day in, day out, often when people first learn about QBQ and message of personal accountability, they say, wow, this is so time. But in reality, personal accountability it's timeless. It worked yesterday, works today, work tomorrow. So, when are we going to hear something new? It's definitely an IQ. The better question to ask, how can I apply what I'm hearing, even if I heard it before? Chapter 13. Don't ask who. Who made the mistake? Who missed the deadline? Who dropped the ball? When we ask who, questions like these, what we're really doing is looking for scapegoats, someone else to blame, and blame will be more pervasive and counterproductive of all the ideas we've talked about so far. Look at the image.